This video is going to be a little different than most of the videos that I make, right? Because I'm going to be recalling the story of a girl named Donya from the book of Fyodor Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. This girl, and it relates to the type of woman that every man respects. This girl is a poor girl, comes from a poor family of means who are desperate, right? Her brother killed someone in the hopes of gaining money for the family. But also her brother thinks that she's prostituting herself and marrying a rich man, which is the guy that we're going to be talking about, in order to help the family, right? So her brother the whole time was telling her, hey, look, he's only using you for your body, and I don't want you to get with him. He doesn't really love you. So the whole time she was convinced that he loved her, right? And she would say, hey, no, Raskolvikov, that's his name, Raskolvikov. No, Raskolvikov, he loves me. He's a great guy. I'm making the right decision. Long story short, they all met in one room. The man, his name is, what's his name again? Luzhin, wanted a meeting with her and her mom, right? But he did not want to bring her brother, right? Her brother hated him, and he hated her brother. But the girl Donya was so smart. He told her, we're all gonna meet in one place, and Roscoe, you're gonna meet him, and you're gonna apologize for the bad things that you did, and he's gonna apologize to you. Long story short, Roscoe swallowed his pride and went to the meeting. And then when he went to the meeting, this man, Luzhin, was shocked to see that Roscoe was in the meeting, and he was pissed off because she disobeyed him, and he felt disrespected. And then Donya was like, look, I know that you're richer than me. In her mind, you understand, he's richer than her, and she needs her more than he needs him. Like, in his mind, he's doing her a favor. He thinks he's better than her and bringing her up from the swallows and putting her in a better position. So he's already arrogant about it, and he looks down on her and her family. But so in his mind, in his mind, there's no way she's gonna reject him. In his mind, there's no way she's gonna disobey him. So what did he do? He went up to her. They all were in the meeting, and he was pretty angry that he was there, right? And long story short, she ended up breaking up with him. And the reason why she broke up with him was because she noticed that he wouldn't even apologize to her brother, right? He wouldn't even apologize to her brother, despite the fact that he told her that her brother was gonna apologize to him. So, with that being said, after he got dumped, after she told him to get the fuck out, right? This was his reaction afterwards. And this is something that I want you guys to be very observant. This is the type of mentality you guys have to develop, because this girl was in a disadvantaged position. She had all the reasons to be needy. She had all the reasons to be desperate. She had all the reasons to push away her brother in order to uplift her family and obey him, because all she had to do was obey him. But she was the type of girl that had a strong sense of self, strong self-esteem, and despite the fact that she was going to remain poor, she decided to keep her pride and her dignity and not sell her soul to this man. And this is what happened. And don't forget, we're having a seminar in London in July, I believe. It's about nonverbal communication, how to communicate power and strength, and how to communicate value through your nonverbal cues. It's actually one of those seminars that pretty much will show you how to impress people, how to gain people's favor, how to influence people without relying on your words. It's a soft type of power, the feminine power per se. If you guys cannot attend in person, which will be at the end of July, you guys can also purchase the tickets online so that you could watch in Zoom. All right. Don't forget, pre-order my course, Emotional Mastery. And if you guys ever want to work with me one-on-one, go to mindfucktraction.org and let me know what you guys think of this video. This is going to be a unique video. I never made a video like this where I read to you guys. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or I'm closing it. I'm at a meditation retreat, so I don't have a problem closing it, because right now I can let go. The truth of the matter was that right up to that last moment, he never dreamt that such a denouncement might be possible. He had bullied his way to the very limit, and it had never once entered his head that two impoverished and defenseless women might be able to escape from his power. His certainty on this account had been much assisted by vanity and a degree of self-confidence that might be better termed self-conceit. Petrovich, who had fought his way up from nowhere, which is Luzhin, the same guy, who has fought his way up from nowhere because he was poor when he was younger, was in the morbid habit of admiring himself, had a high opinion of his own intelligence and ability, and would even on occasion, when alone, admire his own face in the mirror. What he cherished and valued more highly than anything else in the world, however, was his money, which he had acquired by hard work and by all kinds of means. It put him on equal footing with all that was above him. So he used his money and preyed upon women who were poor so that he could use that as leverage and get them needy and get them desperate and do exactly what he said, because he was a man, not that attractive, but he used that money to attract younger women. And most of the younger women will fall for it. And recalling Donya with bitterness, just then he had ventured to take her in spite of the negative rumors that there'd been about her. There were some negative rumors about her. I'm not going to say what it is, but the point was that those negative rumors were wrong. And she was proven to be a righteous woman, but those rumors were still there, and it kind of tainted her, even though they were false. Petrovich had then, speaking perfectly seriously, had experienced a deep sense of indignation at such flagrant ingratitude. As a matter of fact, however, at the time of making his proposal to Donya, he had been fully convinced of the absurdity of all of these rumors, right? He knew they were wrong, which had been publicly refuted by Petrovna, and had long been forgotten by all the inhabitants of the unpleasant little town, who had came out warmly on Donya's side. He himself would not now have denied that he had known all of that even at the time. Nevertheless, he had set a high price on his determination to raise Donya to his own exalted level, viewing it as a noble deed. In mentioning it to her just then, he had been expressing a most cherished secret, one that he had several times admired in private to himself. He was unable to comprehend how others could fail to admire it as well. On presenting his visiting credentials to Raskolvikova, which is her brother, the day before he had made his entrance, with the sense of being a benefactor, preparing to harvest the fruit of his endeavor and to receive the very sweetest of his compliments. And so it was natural that now, as he descended the staircase, because he was getting kicked out of the apartment, so he was ascending the staircase, pissed off and baffled that this impoverished girl rejected him. He considered himself to have been spurned and insulted in the very highest degree. The plain fact that Donya was essential to him. He found it unthinkable that he would forgo her. For a long time, several marriages, but had kept piling up his money and waiting. He had thought with rapture in deepest secret of the chaste and poor young girl. She must be poor. Like he was looking for a poor girl, and she had to be poor in order for his plan to work. Very young, very pretty, well-mannered, and well brought up. Very intimidated, who had experienced a great many misfortunes and will now be wholly at his bidding. The kind of girl who all her life would consider him her salvation, go in awe of him, subordinate herself to him, wonder at him and at him alone. How many scenes, how many delightful episodes had he created in his imagination on this alluring and whimsical theme as he rested quietly from his business affairs, right? So he thought that she was this type of person, right? But the only reason why she was submissive to him was because she thought he respected her. She was submissive under condition. But as soon as she realized that he only saw her as an object, as a trophy wife, and as someone to manipulate, all of a sudden her self-esteem rose, and she used that as a shield and pushed him away. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't purchased any of my courses, we have a special bundle deal for everyone. So that you could purchase all of my courses, meaning you could purchase the psychological game of attraction, natural chemistry, and nice girl, along with all of the bonuses. Originally, if you purchase everything without the bundle, it'll be around $500, to be honest with you. But right now, if you guys purchase it,
with the bundle, you guys will be able to get all of these courses: psychological game of attraction, which is for women who are single; natural chemistry, which is for women who are in a relationship; Nice Girl, which is a course on assertiveness, along with all of the bonuses: social mastery, practical mastery in terms of how to master anything, social mastery in terms of how to master your social skills, and the laws of human nature, wherein it's part of the Robert Greene book club I used to have. All of these, naturally, like I said, it's $500. Now you get it at $394, which is essentially 20% off everything. It's all of the work that I put in the last 4 years, in the last 5 years, actually, all of the research that I've done. And this course, rather than watching all of my videos, and because they could be random and you could sort of like lose the big picture because there's just so many videos, you guys get all of the content condensed in a course. Trust me, people, if you guys purchase this, you won't regret it. If you haven't purchased it, hopefully this will push you towards it, because it's something that I believe in, and everyone who's purchased my course have been satisfied with it. And if they didn't like it, I always give their money back. I have never rejected a refund. All right. So purchase it right now. Click on the description down below where it says purchase the bundle, and I'll see you guys inside.
And then suddenly the realm of those years had almost come true. Donya's beauty and education had impressed him, right? She was poor, but she was actually really smart and really beautiful. So it impressed him. Her helpless situation had excited him beyond measure. Here, there was even more than he had dreamed of. The girl who had appeared was actually proud and full of character, virtuous, superior to him in education and upbringing. He actually sensed this on the inside. And yet, this creature would view him with servile gratitude all her life for his noble deed, reverent, efficacing herself before him. And he would have unlimited and exclusive power over her. Almost as if in accordance with some plan not long before, after lengthy deliberation and calculation, he had finally decided to change his career and to enter upon a wider arena of activity, while at the same time, little by little, making his way into higher echelons of society, something he had been thinking of for a long time. He knew that with women, it was most possible to gain a great deal. The charm of a lovely, virtuous, and educated woman could gild his path in the most remarkable fashion, draw people to him, create an aura around him, and now all of that had collapsed about his ears. The sudden outrageous severing of bonds that had just taken place had an effect on him like a clap of thunder. This was some monstrous joke, an absurdity. He had done the merest amount of bullying. He had not even managed to say all he had intended to say. All he had done was make a few jests, follow the spirit of movement, and it all ended seriously. In other words, he wasn't even being his complete big-headed self. He only disrespected her a few times, and that caused her to completely blow up on him and say, you know what, get the fuck out of my apartment. In fact, look at this, right? This is like a few pages before. He's talking to the family. He's talking to Raskolvikova, the brother, Luzhin, his friend who is in love with Donya, her mom, and Donya. He says, Luzhin cried in rabid turmoil of fury, but you know, you have bound me by your words, which you are now breaking.
But yeah, he's saying, I told you not to bring your brother, and you disrespected me. You disobeyed me. You weren't completely submissive to me. I have the money. You're the poor girl. Why are you bringing your brother? Why are you taking the side of your brother?
Which you are now breaking. And what is more, I have, as it were, been involved in certain expenses. This final complaint was so characteristic of Petrovich that Raskolnikov, pale with anger and effort of repressing it, suddenly couldn't contain himself, burst out laughing. Her mom, however, lost her temper entirely, and she said, expenses? Expense? What expensive? I suppose you mean our trunk. But you know very well that the guard took it out of the train for nothing. Good Lord, you say we're bound to you? I think you ought to bear in mind, Petrovich, that it's you who have bound our hands and foot, not the other way around. That's enough, mother. Please, that's enough, said Donya, implored. Petrovich, be so kind as to get the fuck out. No, she said, be so kind as to leave, but I'm putting that word.
Very well, madame. But one last word before I do, said Petrovich. No longer I could control myself. Your mother would appear to have completely forgotten that I ventured to take you, as it were, in the face of all the rumors that have passed around town and has spread to the entire neighborhood concerning your reputation. By thus spurning public opinion for your sake and by reestablishing your good name, which is bullshit. But here he is being an asshole, bringing out the past, using her against her, saying how he...
So continue. So I believe I might most possibly be within my right in expecting something in return from you. Maybe the poom poom, right? And even in demanding your gratitude. Only now, my eyes having fully opened, he's acting like the victim now, I myself see that I may have acted most unwisely in neglecting the public voice. In other words, I should have known, I should have heard, I should have listened to what everyone else said, which is bullshit. He's gaslighting her. And then the guy who's in love with her secretly says, does this man want his head broken or what? Razumikin shouted, leaping up from his chair, already prepared to administer retribution. You are a base, wicked man, said Donya. That will do now. No more gestures, Raskolvikov exclaimed, holding Raz back. Then he went right up to Luz so that their faces almost touched. Be so good as to get the fuck out of here, he said. I included the fuck. Quietly and distinctly, and not another word otherwise. For a few seconds, Luzhin stared at him with features that were pale and twisted with hostile rage. Then he turned and went out. It is possible that no man ever bore within his heart so much violent hatred for another human being as this man did with Raskolvikov. It was Raskolvikov, and Raskolvikov alone, who he blamed for everything. It is worth noting that even as he made his way downward, he still fancied that his cause might not entirely be lost, and that in the case of the ladies, at least, might most possibly be capable of rectification. All right, so that's what happened, right? So let's keep going. He had done the most merest amount of bullying, which, in other words, using his money to manipulate her, using his money to gaslight her, using his money and power to put her in a position of weakness. But he didn't. But he was planning more things. In his mind, he's like, "Bitch, that wasn't even my final form. I didn't even do exactly what I wanted to do." Right? Then there was the fact that he did, after all, love Donya in his own way. He already had power over her in his dreams, and now suddenly, no. Tomorrow, all of this would have been repaired, remedied, put right, and above all, that overground urchin, that arrogant milksop whose fault it was, would have to be annihilated once and for all. Oh shit, I forgot about that part. With a sensation of pain, he remembered somehow, in spite of himself. But as you guys can see, even then, he still loved her, right? And I can promise you, after that moment, even though she pushed him away, the fact that she pushed him away to stand up to him is something that most guys, even me as I'm watching this, I'm like, yo, what's her handle? What's her Instagram? That type of self-esteem where even if you're in a position of weakness, you say no to the person, is attractive. People respect that. And that's a reflection of your character. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, if you watch my channel, it's pretty much what I teach. It's pretty much what all the strategies are all about. It's teaching you how to walk away despite the fact that it hurts. And the way you do that is to develop a meditation practice, people. By just developing a meditation practice, you will be able to say no to someone even though it hurts. Because yes, she did lose money, man. She lost the ability to have an easy life. But at what cost? At the cost of her self-esteem. Always value self-respect over any man. Always value your self-esteem over money and over anything. Because if you trade your pride, if you trade your self-esteem and self-respect for a man, it's gonna rot it's gonna rot inside. It's like an infection that keeps spreading, you know. And look at her, man. This girl is in Russia, and she's poor. And she has no money, and she and her family is in a desperate situation, and she's saying no to the guy. That's real self-esteem. It's easy to say no when you feel confident. It's easy to say no when you're in a position of power. But to show me how much real confidence you have, I want to see you how you say no when you have nothing else to back you up. That's a sign of real self-esteem. It's very easy to act confident when you're young and good looking. Try to do that when you get older. That's a real sign of self-esteem. That's a real sign of somebody who has overcame their insecurities. And you can do that through practicing meditation or pre-ordering my course, Emotional Mastery, which is going to be out at the end of the year. Oh, look at the chipmunk, people. Where's the chipmunk? Oh, he disappeared. Oh. Hopefully that makes sense. This book is so incredible. Like, I highly recommend you guys check the book out. Okay, look at the chipmunk over there. Oh, he's hiding. I highly recommend you guys check out the book Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's a little depressing, don't get me wrong. You know, it talks about the suffering of people, but it's a beautiful book nonetheless. All right. Anyways, don't forget, we're having a seminar in New York City, in London at the end of the year. In July. If you guys ever want to work with me one-on-one, I actually have a few packages, such as the Coach in the Pocket, where you guys can work with me where you guys have access to me for a whole month, 24/7, and you guys can message me on WhatsApp. So if you guys are going through a situation and you guys need someone to talk to and you need ongoing support, imagine that I'm your roommate, right? And you're seeing someone and you could just ask me what should I do in this situation. It's perfect for ongoing relationships. You guys can order that. It's $2,500 a month, and you guys have access to me 24/7, and I respond in the form of an audio. That's one of the coaching packages that I have. And I also have where we do it for 3 days a week rather than 7 days a week, for 4 weeks for $1,500. It's perfect for ongoing issues. Or you guys can check out my other course. You guys can check out the other coaching packages, which is a one-time thing. All right. Anyways, I'll see you guys inside.